What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Welcome back to another Good Morning Tottenham. And another day goes, another signing comes through the door at Tottenham Hotspur. The long-awaited arrival of Jed Spence, as we got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano this morning. He says Tottenham are set to complete Jed Spence deal, confirmed, and here we go. He's going to sign a 5-year deal. Medical tests are ready. Final details discussed now, and contracts being prepared. Fee will be around 12.5 million guaranteed plus add-ons. Total package will be just under 20 million. In terms of the finances of the deal, it seems like a really good deal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's probably what was taking so long. I think Middlesbrough, I'm assuming, wanted a higher upfront fee than 12.5 million. You know, most of the talks before were around 15 million plus add-ons. But 12.5 million, I don't know what the clauses are, but I'm assuming it's like Champions League. It's if he starts a certain amount of games. It's if maybe if you get an England call up, all these kind of things probably go into it. So who knows what exactly is going to be triggered or not. But 12.5 million leading to 20 for someone who's 22 years of age and his potential, homegrown as well, for a spot we really need. I think it is a good deal. And overall, our spending, just, you know, apart from Richarlison, really hasn't been that extravagant. It's just been smart business, which is also good. Like we've always said that. It's not about spending loads and loads of money. It's just about doing the right deals, and hopefully these are the deals. These deals are right for what Conte wants, and I'm very excited to see what Spence can give us.
Yeah, I completely agree. And look, that's what it's all about. It's not about spending, you know, hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds. It's about spending it in the right way, spending it on the right players, targeting the positions you exactly want, and get the best players in those positions that you think that will flourish. David Ornstein, as of half an hour ago, said that Jed Spence is undergoing a medical ahead of his Tottenham transfer. So I imagine that's probably close to completion now, or halfway through at least. Do you think we're going to get an announcement today?
There's a chance, because unless they delay it till Sunday, with the game being tomorrow, I don't think they want to distract away from that with an announcement. It's unlikely. We know Clement Longley went in for his medical in the morning when he signed on the Friday as well, and then by 7 p.m. he was announced. So I would say there is a good chance that it could be announced today, with him undergoing his medical right now. So I would keep your eyes out for that. But also, I remember, who was it? Perisic. I remember he had his medical, and then it took them like 2 days to announce it. So nothing's guaranteed at this football club. Or was it Yves Bissouma as well? Also, maybe it took a bit longer. But there's definitely a good chance it could be announced today.
But there is a common theme going on with these Tottenham transfers, where we wait all day for the announcement, and then as soon as we leave the office, as soon as we leave the studio, it gets announced.
Yeah, yeah, which is it always kicks us in the arse. But what can we do? Hopefully, we get it announced. Well, look, it's probably going to be this evening, which we're not going to be in the studio anyway. But I'm excited. I think this is a very exciting signing. I really think that, as much as people have reservations, I think we've got to start looking at the positives and what exactly he's going to bring to Tottenham, and how good he is at certain things. And he could be perfect for this right wing back role that we use under Conte.
Do you think people make too much out of the whole situation where he hasn't played too much Premier League minutes, or any Premier League minutes at all, where you look at the likes of players that we've brought in the past, let's say Dele Alli, for instance? You know, we brought him in from League One for 5 million, and straight away he hit the ground running and really started performing. And I'm hoping it can be similar of that ilk.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's becoming a case that we need it to be the case, really, with how important his role is in the team. We kind of need to hit. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him early on. That's unfortunate. It's Tottenham's fault for him being our main right wing back purchase for the season. There was a lot of expectation about who we were going to bring in a right wing back. The fact of the matter is, we've chosen Jed Spence, and as much as he has a lot of potential, and I'm sure he's going to be a good player for us, there is a lot of pressure on a player who hasn't played Premier League football and is quite young as well, who hasn't played Premier League football on a regular basis. Now, he could well be a Dele Alli who comes in, hits the ground running, and looks completely at home straight away in the Premier League. And he wouldn't be the only player who's made the step up from the Championship straight away. But we know more often than not, it sometimes can take a bit of time for them to get used to the level as well. He hasn't been on the pre-season tour, so he might be a bit behind on his fitness work or his tactical work as well with the team. So those things are things we might have to be a bit patient on. But on the flip side, he does come in, clearly this boy is full of confidence. We saw that with that post he did after the playoff final. This boy, he comes off the back of a brilliant season where
he's with a bit of shithouse mentality.
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and look, he had his best performance of the season against Arsenal as well. That definitely would help him ingratiate him to the Tottenham fans. And we know that the way he likes to play with his dribbling style, hopefully that will stand in good stead when it comes to being confident, taking people on in the Premier League. Hopefully that side of his game comes naturally to him. What might take him a bit of time is tactically where Conte wants him on the pitch at certain moments, all this kind of stuff, because Conte is very detail specific in every moment of what he likes. So those things might come with a bit of time. But when it comes to him receiving the ball and taking people on and driving forward, hopefully that's something we can see from him from the get-go and straight away. And because that shouldn't really leave you unless you're lacking in confidence. So that's something we can look forward to seeing straight away. Maybe defensively and stuff like that, it might take him a bit of time to adjust. But you never know. Look, he's shown already he can hack it against Premier League opposition. So there's no reason to think that he will come in and struggle. But whether he'll be whether he'll come in and really be a top right wing back like in the Premier League, that's too much of an ask, I would say, right now. But you never know, he might be.
There's a quote here from Arsenal's attacker Gabriel Martinelli. They asked him on the best individual opponent he's faced, and he's been playing in the Premier League for a couple of years now, so he's faced some good wing backs in his time, full backs in his time, and he says, Jed Spence, who I played against in the FA Cup, he is strong, good on the ball, calm and quick. I was surprised. He's a really good player. I mean, Gabriel Martinelli naming Jed Spence as the strongest opponent he's ever come against.
I mean, that's high praise. Martinelli, he had a big injury, so he's not like he's played loads of football, but clearly shows how tough Jed Spence can be to play against. We know about Jed Spence and his physicality. He's strong. He's very quick. I watched the game against Arsenal, and he dominated Martinelli that game. Martinelli barely had a kick, and he was also giving him a torrid time going the other way as well. So I'm not surprised Martinelli picked him, because that's probably his toughest game. But look, it's not like Martinelli's the benchmark. But look, fair enough. It's a high praise from an Arsenal player.
It really is. Now it kind of begs the question of which one goes out the door now, because I assume that one of Matt Doherty or Emerson will go out the door. It seems as though Matt Doherty is probably higher up in the hierarchy at Spurs, especially in the changing room. Emerson Royale has really started to get to grips with things a little bit towards the end of his time, and he had a good showing in the friendly as well out in South Korea. He seems to be ingraining himself within the Spurs family in terms of the team and also the fan base. Which one do you think goes?
It's a difficult decision. Matt Doherty was interviewed yesterday. He was asked about his potential future, and he said, "Why would I want to be anywhere else? It's an exciting time to be a Tottenham player, moving in the right direction. He wants to be part of something big, and he knows as well. He'll probably have self-belief in himself. First of all, the way he played a few months ago before his injury, and also the fact that when he was at Wolves, he was one of the most effective attacking wing-backs in the league during that time. So he's definitely going to back himself to be part of this team. And Emerson as well, came from Barcelona. He's got a lot of friends here now. He he seems settled in London, and he also had a very strong end to the season. So both have very good cases as to why they should be staying. As well, Emerson is probably better defensively, but Doherty is probably better offensively. So it's a really difficult one as to who should be out the door. The only thing is Emerson, you're more likely to get a decent fee for him, over 20 million. Doherty, I don't think you're getting anywhere near that at this current stage. So maybe that and also if you keep Doherty around, Conte probably sees it as a bit nicer balance. You've got an experienced one and a younger one, whereas Emerson, you've got two younger players there, still learning the role. So,
who would your personal preference be?
Logic states Emerson should go. Who am I? It's very difficult. I mean, if you're talking about for the short term, I think I would keep Doherty because I think he's proven, even if it was a short spell, he can get to those Wolves levels he was showing, and maybe against lesser opposition he can be very effective. Only question mark for me with Doherty is just him against the top teams. We always played Emerson against the top teams because he was less likely to get caught out. So whether it's a case of we have to play Spence against the top teams, but it's a lot of pressure on a young player. Emerson, we know, can play in those big games, and he's always put in a good performance. So we always have that in our locker if we keep him, but we know when he played against the lesser teams, he struggled very big time when he had to have a lot of possession. But then again, he seems to be improving it. So it's difficult. It's such a difficult choice. I think it has to be Emerson just because we can get the fee for him, and then maybe we can get an attacking midfielder. A part of me would like to keep all three of them and just have them all battle it out, but I don't think we will. I think one of them has to go.
Me personally, if I was going to let one go, it would be Matt Doherty, in my opinion. I think Emerson has shown, like you say, in the big games that he can really perform. I think defensively, I think he's the best one out of the three. And I think that we need that when we come up against the Man Cities, the Chelseas, the Liverpools, these kind of teams. And he's performed really well in those games. And I think Jed Spence is more than capable in taking on the kind of low block teams and the rest of the teams in the Premier League. So I think it's more of a balance in terms of right back, having Emerson and Jed Spence there than having Jed Spence and Matt Doherty there.
Do you think there's any chance we keep all three?
I think there is a slight chance, but
because Doherty could also cover the left potentially as well on occasion.
He could. There is a chance. There is a chance.
A part of me would like to see all three stay and just battle it out and see what that. And there could be enough games for all of them potentially.
We'll have to see how it pans out. But yeah, look, I think I would like to see all three stay because I think all three of them are good characters for the squad. As much as we've kind of laid into the both of them at the past, they both have improved massively under Antonio Conte, so it'd be a shame to say goodbye to either of them, especially Emerson because he's so young and he's got a future ahead of him. So I'd like to keep, I would like to keep all three, but if I had to sell one, I probably would get Matt Doherty out instead of Emerson, in my opinion. I just think it creates a better balance in terms of the style of right backs that they are. So, look, that's the situation. Jed Spence, we have got the here we go. So he is a Tottenham Hotspur player. We'll have to see what happens with the outgoings. And obviously, we'll bring it to you here on We Are Tottenham TV before anywhere else. But that is the Jed Spence news. But we've got a super chat here from Jack Doherty. He says, just got home from a night here out in Colorado and we are having a Jed Spence party. Big up. Ben Kaufman says, big up everyone. Happy Friday indeed. But without further ado, we've got a Nottingham Forest fan to tell us much more about Jed Spence. His name is Des Oldham, comes from the channel Mr. Dawes. So let's see what he has to say about Jed Spence. Des, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys? Happy with you signing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that you can make me happier about the signing, but yeah, I am fairly happy about it. I mean, he had an exceptional season for you last year, didn't he?
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. He kind of came in with little expectation. Not quite sure what we was getting coming from Middlesbrough, and we were struggling in that position. Chris Hughton was struggling as a manager. The team was struggling, full stop. Spence come in, he was like a breath of fresh air. didn't really know what to expect from him, whether he was pacey, whether he was quick, whether he was tricky. But he brought all these different attributes and a lot of enthusiasm to the team, built up a relationship with Brennan Johnson, and became absolutely frightening at times during the season. The Championship feared him like we'd seen no other. And when they played Premiership opposition in the FA Cup, Leicester, Arsenal, Liverpool, they played really, really well. Proved to be real assets and match winners in those games, particularly the Arsenal and the Leicester game. So I think Tottenham have got a real asset and somebody to work with. Whilst he is still a little bit raw, there's an opportunity to work with a player and really create something quite special.
Tell me about last season, about his consistency, because obviously he did get and I can gather a couple of Player of the Month awards in the Championship. I think was he nominated for Young Player of the Year as well during the season. But was it a case of he had a few sparkling performances and then was off the ball sometimes, or was he very consistent week in, week out in how he performed?
When he came in, it was a little bit inconsistent. I wasn't quite sure about him, to be honest, and as a Forest fan talking to Spurs fans right now, I'd say that you got to give him a little bit of time just to bed in. But after that, he became really, really consistent every week, putting in 8 out of 10 performances, some weeks 10 out of 10. He was playing below his level. There is, to be honest, there is 1 or 2 games where his level just does drop off a little bit. Got to work on his concentration a little bit. Perhaps his attitude at times, which has been questioned in the past, is not perfect. But again, he was playing sort of below his level, and I'd expect him to make the step up, be quite consistent. But there is that one or 2 games, and defensively, he just switches off a little bit. His attacking prowess, he's got a trick in him where he can beat a man and he can link up with that right-sided player, and also chip in with 1 or 2 goals. He appears on the edge of the area, and he scored 2 or 3 important goals for us as well.
Yeah, talk to me a bit about that, the attitude that he does have, because obviously that was a reason why he left Middlesbrough, falling out with Neil Warnock and all that. Under Antonio Conte, stuff like that really won't fly. So do you think that Antonio Conte, he's able to shove that out of his game, the attitude? But not too much, because Antonio Conte likes a bit of attitude in play, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And I think Steve Cooper's pretty much the same. Steve Cooper's a sort of an manager. He looks after people. He works on relationships. I think Spence matured a lot in his time at Forest. There was an incident in a big playoff game where the Sheffield United manager sort of pushed the ball into his midriff, and it would have been easy for him to flip and sort of create a mass ball, and he just took a step back, and he just sort of looked at the situation as everybody else piled in. So I'd say he's definitely matured, but he needs that manager to kind of put his arm around him, look after him, nurture him, probably tell him when he steps out of line, before he gets too far out of line, if you know what I mean. So if Conte can do that, the ability's there, the rawness is there, the enthusiasm, the potential. I'm sure that's what a lot of it's about with Spurs signing such a young player from the Championship. He definitely got an asset, definitely got somebody who can be developed into a real good solid player. Occasionally, I've seen 1 or 2 sort of moments where his head's gone a little bit. I remember a game when Forest played down at Millwall this season, and that was basically back in his own territory. He's a Lewisham boy. And I turned around to a friend who actually sort of worked with him growing up, who was attending the match with me, and I says, is he a bit hot-headed because of where he is? And he kind of said, potentially, So again, going back to London, it might just be a case of settling him down a little bit, letting him settle back in. He's going to have a lot of people around him down there, I guess, a lot of his friends and family, and it'll just be a case of sort of just letting him settle in, and then I'm sure you'll see the best of him.
You spoke a lot about how dribbling, he's very effective and taking people on. Obviously, how Conte likes to play his wing-back system, they have a lot of attacking responsibility and getting to the final third, crossing into the box, decision-making. How good is he, would you say, when he gets into the final third, picking people out, and maybe his crossing ability as well? How highly would you rate that?
Very highly. I think that's actually the biggest strength in his game. The final third, to say he's naturally a wing back, right back, whichever way you look at it, his real strength is that final third. He's got that trick in him. He can link up with the right winger, the strikers. He appears on the edge of the box. There was a goal against Leicester where he's scoring inside the 6 yard box because he's played a 1-2. So that side of it is really strong. The only questions I do have about Jed Spence is sort of defensively. He can find himself sort of caught upfield when he is required to sort of track back, and sometimes for as much pace as he's got, he can't get back because he's been found offside. Which is not a bad
Mm.
thing. That's the modern game. That's what the Premier League demands these days. So I think the way he links up with the attacking players, especially, is a real strength.
But would you say, if a striker's running in the box, you need and you got Spence on the right hand side, he needs to pick someone out. He has the ability to do that, like confidently.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of work to do on his actual crossing. Sometimes he can over hit it a little bit, but when he's playing it around neatly on the floor, he's
Mm.
very tidy. He gets to the byline himself and he can whip it across. He, from a sort of dead ball position, or one where he's looking to perhaps find Kane at the back post. He's probably got a little bit of work to do on that, but it's not as if it's a weakness in his game. He's also got a bit of a shot on him as well. He scored a goal against QPR this season, which it was incredible. We were
Mm.
struggling in that game, and just after half time, he pinged one from 30 yards into the top corner, which was a fantastic goal, probably the goal of the season for us. Um, and yeah, his crossing just perhaps a little bit of work if we're being mega critical, but
Hmm.
it's kind of not his game as well. He's the player who sometimes gets in beyond the winger and pulls it back across, to sort of in front of the defenders.
We were speaking yesterday on our show when all the news got released, I was saying that, if you bring in someone like Jed Spence, you can mould him, and in a year or two, you could be talking about him in the same ilk as maybe someone like a Reece James at Chelsea, who also played quite consistently in the Championship. Do you agree that Jed Spence could really have the opportunity to explode now he's at Tottenham?
I do. I think the sky's the limit for him. There is a potential, obviously, because of this attitude we've spoken about, of it not quite working. In many ways, I'm 50-50, but I do believe, because I like the player, I like what he does. I like the way he was nurtured under Cooper. I know Conte's not going to take any messing about. I think with the right management, the sky's the absolute limit. I'd imagine he'd be pushing sort of Trent Alexander-Arnold in the England team, really sort of pushing up that level. I've seen him; he's made a few sub appearances for the under-21s, and I look at the other players who are sort of keeping him sort of lower down the order, and I think, you know, I see a lot of him. I don't see as much as the others, but I think he should be in that under-21 team at least.
Yeah, and do you really believe in terms of the fee that Spurs paid for him, 12.5 million? Looks like 12.5 million plus add-ons raising to 20 million. What's your opinion on that kind of fee? Is it a good deal for Tottenham, or have we overpaid?
No, I think it's a fair fee, and I think Tottenham have driven a hard bargain. Um, Ultimately, I think there was no competition there, were they? Forest had moved on. Forest have been quite ruthless in their transfers. If players haven't signed quickly, they've moved on to the next target. So I think Spurs were in a good position, probably drove it down a little bit. Ultimately, if he performs and does well, they're quite prepared to pay up to 20 million, but 12.5 is a real good deal. What sort of irks us as far as fans a little bit is we could have probably signed him for about £50,000 last year,
Yeah.
this
Wow.
time last year, and now he's a player that's worth 12.5 million, and he is worth every penny of that. There was rumours after sort of 6 or 7 weeks that we might sign him for 5 million in January, and we'd have just snapped the hand off, even in the Championship, without knowing we were going to get promoted or things like that. So yeah, I think 12 million, 12.5. If Forest would have had that option straight away, I think they would have sort of snapped him up and taken it without batting an eyelid.
Well, Des, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming on. You've given us some really good insight into Jed Spence, and congratulations for promotion. We'll see you very soon. I believe third or fourth game of the season we're playing you, aren't you? You're looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it. It's one of those, isn't it? Before the TV fixtures came out, I was looking at what potentially were there, and Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham Hotspurs. It just says Premier League from years gone by, doesn't it? It looks like a
Absolutely.
Premier League fixture, so I'm looking forward to the TV game at the City Ground.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to, we'll do all our pre-match build-up as well together. So everyone go and subscribe to Door on Tour, brilliant Nottingham Forest channel. Des, thank you so much for coming on today, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, that was really good insight there into Jed Spence.
Very exciting.
From Des. And if that hasn't made you more excited, I don't know what has. How excited did that make you?
Definitely. Look, I can't wait to get some new blood at right wing back as well. A potential, New England newcomer as well, battling for the England squad. And I think we've always needed a bit of someone who can dribble on their right hand side, and that's his speciality. That's what he can bring to us, and it should bring a new dynamic to the team and a bit of freshness and rawness. And people have been complaining also, not complaining, but there's been a suggestion that, Antonio Conte, him coming, will he's only going to sign older players. And, some Arsenal fans were suggesting on Twitter that Spurs will look like a retirement home after Conte's done with Tottenham. But signing players of like Jed Spence is completely rubbishes any of that what concern.
And let's be honest, apart from Perisic, everyone we've signed is under 25, 26, aren't they?
Yeah, well, Forster's also old, but second, yeah. Well, he's our sixth signing, so four of them are a decent age. And you look at the core of the squad, obviously, most of them are. But look, you got a few of them that are approaching 30, like Kane, Son, and obviously Lloris is 35. But you need that experience. You need that blend of youth and experience. I think we're getting that blend really well. And when you look at Arsenal, what held them back was the lack of experience. They could have done with a few more older players in their. They could have done with a few more older players in their team. And as much as it's always good to have a good young squad, always the perfect balance is to have a bit more experience as well, and that's what I like about the squad we're building. We have a few older players, but also a lot of young players as well.
And that was the case under Poch, right? In our strongest team under Poch, we had a lot of youth, but we had that kind of spine of experience, didn't we? The Moussa Dembele, Hugo Lloris, Jan and Toby in the middle. And that's what you have. You have to strike that really good balance of youth and experience. And I think that's exactly what Spurs have at the moment.
Definitely.
And as well, the youth players that we do have, or the younger players coming through, are still kind of experienced. Even like the 25 below, they've all got heavy experience. The Bentancur, Kulusevski at 21, 22, however old he is. I mean, how much experience does he have for someone of that age?
Spence probably the most inexperienced one.
Yeah, definitely. Shall we get through those super chats?
Yeah. One here from Will Stewart. Big up to Will. He says, lads, don't mind that we only spend 56.54 million after sales this window, but surely if that's all we spend, surely we could have done this without the 150 million Levy cash. What's the point if we aren't going to use it? I understand what he's saying. What's the point of having that cash injection if you're not going to push the boat out? First of all, I don't think we're done in the window. I think
two more still.
I think we're looking at more ins and outs for sure. I reckon probably we're going to wait for a few more outs before we bring any more in. But I don't think we're done. And secondly, it's like, I understand it, but like on a normal, in other circumstances, Basuma could cost you 50, 60 million, but we got a good deal for him. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to criticise the club for getting a good deal for someone like Basuma. Richarlison, we did push the boat out, 50, 60 million. Perisic, we got on a free, but it's because Conte wanted it. That's Conte signings. That's backing Conte. Spence's could go up to 20 million. You could argue we could have maybe pushed the boat out for someone else, but Spence's 20 million. Then Longlay's the only one where you can maybe say we've gone for a smarter deal rather than pushing the boat out for a centre back because it's a loan deal.
But at the end of the day, even with the Longley one, they identified Gvardiol and Bastoni as our
Yeah,
two
it
main
wasn't
targets,
possible.
and it wasn't possible to get either of them. Maybe later in the window we can strike a deal or something, but right now it's impossible to get them. So if it's impossible to get your first choice targets, you don't settle for someone less, surely. And I think bringing in a loan is a smart way to go about it.
It makes sense. And look, no one's left into yet. Skriniar's still there.
Yeah.
At the time of speaking, nothing is done. So who knows? Maybe Bastoni is still possible later in the window if they're struggling to get rid of other players. But look, for me, the 150 million in cash from Levy was a statement that that's money he's prepared to invest in the transfer window. Doesn't mean we have to spend it all for it to be a successful window.
Agreed.
It just has to be available to the manager if need be.
And also, Ali Gold said yesterday that he doesn't. This is not info that he got, but it's by his feeling that there is still a lot of money left to play with at Tottenham Hotspur, obviously.
There has to be.
And he thinks that we could be pushing out the boat for an attacking midfielder, which could be the case. And also,
Yeah, good ones cost big money.
yeah, and also on the flip side of that, if there is, which I do think there will be a lot of money left over after the window closes. If we're struggling by January, it means we can bring in a player for big money, and we can bring in a player that we would really want to bring in, and that could help us for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, also. Look, I think there's a lot of money right now to spend at Tottenham, considering the players that we trying to get rid of as well. We're probably going to get at least over 20 million for Reguilon, maybe at least.
Ndombele,
Lo Celso, just getting those wages off the books. I don't expect big fees for Lo Celso and Ndombele right now.
But everything accumulated is still a big
yeah, still get anything and get those off the wage book to freeze up money. Rodon, you're probably looking at between maybe 10 million there. So there's going to be there's a lot of money. Still already got 30 million for Bergwijn. So I don't think it's a case that we have to demand Tottenham spend big money. It's just the fact of the matter is we've gone early with these deals because Conte is happy with them. I don't think we go so early if Conte is not interested in signing any of these players. That only really gives me that case when we're late in the window and we've not got any of our targets. We're like, we've got to get someone in, so we kind of just rush a deal through the door late in the window. This doesn't seem to be the case for me. It seems very, very targeted. It seems like we've identified these players early on, and it's like, okay, if we can't get Bastoni Gvardiol, we've got him on our list of targets as well, and we can get him on a loan deal. So it just seems like smart business. And I'm not gonna. We've always said on this channel, like, it's not just about splashing 100 million or 50 million on players that we're angry about. It's always that there seems to be a lack of strategy. And that's not what I'm seeing this summer. We seem very targeted, very precise, and we're doing smart business. Just because we're not splashing as much money as possible, it's like if we added 50 million to the Basuma deal, then people would be happy. You know what I mean? It's like, no.
Look, you don't judge the window about how much money you spent. You judge the window of who's come in and who's come out, regardless of the money. But with the money, let's be honest, we've spent 60 million on a squad player from a position of strength, which we've never done before. We used to bring on the likes of Nkudu and Ng and Janssen and all these players. We've spent 60 million on Richarlison when we've got Son, Kane and Kulusevski and Lucas Moura at the club. So with the window that we've had, I don't know how anyone can be disappointed with the window that we've had. Who can be?
The only people would say, which I think you could argue is a fair point, is that our two weakest spots, right wing back and left centre back, are two spots where we've invested the least potentially. Oh well, you can say both wing backs and left centre back, which is where we really needed investment.
Yeah, but let's be honest,
season.
on the left, we've brought in one of the best in Europe.
I know, I'm just saying, someone could make the argument that's where the least investment has been in the squad, whereas that's the one with the most need. So why haven't we spent more money or gone bigger in those areas? Which I understand, but look, Perisic was one of the best wing backs, as you say, in Europe. Jed Spence could potentially be a very strong wing back for us next season. And Longley, I honestly think he was one where I think he was a backup option in case we can get our targets. I think he's always been a target, Longley.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's smart business, and I think it's gives something for Conte to work with for sure.
Yeah, and I still think two more to come as well. I'm still expecting, a midfielder, an attacking midfielder, and another centre-back.
If our business is over now, say we sign no more players,
here we go. This old chestnut again.
What would you give it?
And we got to give decibels. Can't be a rookie. With decimals, without being a rookie, window right now, if it closed
today.
right now, closed today, I'll probably give it 8.2.
8.2. It's decent. I'll probably give it. If I'm looking at our squad right now,
maybe around that figure, around that mark.
You reckon if the season ended now, we still get third? If the window ended now, sorry.
What with Chelsea? Have they got in the defence? Kimpembe hasn't signed yet, has he?
Yeah, but it just ends for us now. It doesn't end for the.
Only us it ends for.
Only us it ends for.
Well, I don't know. It depends who Chelsea.
If they get
sign.
Kimpembe, Koulibaly, they got Sterling.
They need a number 9 desperately, I think. Otherwise, they got Havertz there for the rest of the season. I still think that we can finish above Chelsea if it finishes now. I really believe that.
I'll probably give it right now. I'll probably give it a. Yeah, I'll give it 8 point. I'll give it a 7.8.
7.8.
7.8.
Yeah.
If it ended right now.
It's a very high window, and when you got to look at it, we've got a centre back who I think can really improve us. We've got a right wing back who I think that can really improve us. We've got Ivan Perisic through the door, one of the best left backs in Europe last season, over the last couple of years. We've got Bissouma, who's been absolutely unbelievable in the Premier League last couple of years. We've got Richarlison, whilst we've got Sonny, Kane and Kulusevski at the club as well, and Fraser Forster as a backup keeper. I think the window has been absolutely brilliant. I really do. And if we can bring in a top attacking midfielder and another top centre-back, you got to say that's getting close to over 9.5, something like that.
If we get another centre-back and an attacking mid, yeah, it's going to be... That'd be mega. When it comes to attacking mids, in terms of what kind of attacking mid, or look, with Eriksen obviously it looks like that's gone out of the question now. He's going to United. What kind of attacking mid would you look at?
That's the thing. I mean, the only names that's been banned about at the moment is Paqueta. I'm not so sure about. I'm always wary about these guys from Lyon, man. Hussam Aouar was the flavour of the month one year. Then it was Ndombele.
He looks like he's going to Betis.
Yeah, I mean, he was so sought after a few years ago, Hussam Aouar, and then he fell off the rails the year after. Ndombele we signed for 65 million. He's fallen off the rails. I mean, I'm not. It's hard.
Also
easy
attacking
to take all
mids
of them with the same brush, but
they're not number 10s. They're not as many around as they used to be as well. I think who would be perfect for us, but I don't think we'd push the bell out for him, would be Nkunku. He would be like the perfect one.
Well, didn't he just sign a contract to have like a 60 million release clause next summer or something?
I think he did. Did he sign a deal?
I think he did. Maybe he's about to sign one.
I think there were rumours of it. He might have done. I can't remember exactly if he actually did or not. But he would be perfect. The reason being is because he's so versatile. He can play up front. He can play left, right. He can play central. That would be perfect for us. Someone like him. I think if we sign an attacking mid, I think it needs to be a versatile one because he needs to be able. If we sign an attacking mid, they need to be able to feel like they could play in any formation. And I feel like if we're consistently playing 3-4-3, I don't think we want to sign a player who has to rely on us playing 3-5-2 to get in the team. So we need someone who's versatile, who can probably play on the right and the left and maybe in the centre as well. That's probably the best situation.
I agree with you.
There are not many of those out there.
Nkunku's
definitely one of them. I'm trying to think of other attacking mids out there who obviously Paqueta.
Well, everyone's saying Maddison in the comments, literally spamming Maddison.
I mean, I'd like Maddison could maybe come play off the left sometimes as well, potentially.
How much would a Maddison cost?
Yeah, probably. The problem is because it's Premier League tax, homegrown tax. Obviously, he's a very good player as well. I would say his market value is probably like 45 million. You add on 10 for homegrown tax, you add on maybe 15, 20 for Premier League tax, and then you're looking at nearly 70 million.
Do you think that with this position, I mean, there's another player at Forest that someone just mentioned in the comments, in Brennan Johnson, and obviously had a sensational season at Forest last year. Do you think he would be a good one? Because he's one that we can nurture, isn't going to demand minutes all the time and stuff like that. He could be a good idea.
Did get 19 goals in the Championship last season, although I think a lot of he was playing up front as well, wasn't he? But he plays definitely plays midfield. I don't know if he's a creative player or more of like a Dele Alli who likes to get in late in the box and make a difference that way. I think Conte wants someone who's more of someone laying on the chances for his teammates. I don't know. Maybe Johnson is that, but that's not the impression I get.
Do you think we should just go over to Leicester, here's 40 million and take Harry Winks as well and the job done?
I don't think that gets it done. But
I don't think
it does.
How much do you reckon with Harry Winks during the deal gets it done?
I mean, it depends. If they do really want Harry Winks, then you're looking probably... You could be looking at 55 million.
55 million and Winks?
Yeah.
Wow. That's an expensive deal.
I think, look, the Premier League clubs these days are apart from like when you're in a struggling financial situation like Everton were, they're one of these are the richest clubs in Europe you're dealing with now. Leicester are like richer than like most teams in Spain and most teams in Italy. That's the reality. So these clubs don't get rolled over as easily as they used to. I remember who said it? I think it was Mourinho, who said, you know, back in 2000 when he first came to the Premier League, when he was Chelsea manager, he could just go to a smaller Premier League club, say, hey, here's money, we're taking this guy, you know, go get whoever, or Scott Parker, Glenn Johnson, whatever. He said nowadays, it's a very different landscape. Like when he was United manager, he's like, if I wanted to go and get Harry Kane from Tottenham, it's impossible now. Tottenham are too strong. They're in too strong a position. And I think that's the reality. I don't think it's impossible to get Maddison out of Leicester. I just think we're going to be we're going to be paying a lot over the odds for him. And it's whether we want to do that or not.
So what was the situation with Man City and Calvin Phillips? I mean, did he have just 1 year left in his contract or something? How did they get him?
I think, I don't know. They got him for what, 45 million?
45, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's fair deal. I don't know. I don't know what his contract situation was.
But yeah, look, there are options out there. I mean, would you consider maybe a Paulo Dybala for free?
Yeah, I would. If Conte's interested in him, for sure. I think he's immense quality. But the thing is with Dybala, I don't know. He's going to come in at 28 or 29 years of age, big wages. He's going to want one last big career move, and whether that's at Tottenham, where he might not be starting that as many games as he'd like, I don't know. But look, I mean, I think he's been a brilliant squad option. He'd be brilliant, and maybe that's one where that could solve a lot of issues. But something doesn't. Like, I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, why has he not gone anywhere?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if I think we'd probably, if we were really interested in him, we probably would have been more interested now. I don't know.
All right, let's get through the rest of the super chats, then we'll start bringing on some guests. But what we got there?
We got B Mount, just with a thumbs up. Thank you, mate. Elias Gruber, welcome to Silver. Big up to you, Elias. Thank you for joining the WeAreTottenhamTV family.
Big
Bob Spur TV says, my bestie Richie is very happy with the signings. I'm sure he DM'd you, Bobby. Let us know, yeah. When are you getting him on the channel, Bob? Come on.
I really hope Richarlison stops hanging around in this bad crowd. He's such a bad influence, that Bob.
Exactly. Frankly, Tottenham says, to be honest, we need hugely an AC attacking centre mid to break down those park the bus formations.
But also, a player like Jed Spence can really help with that. Park the bus, those low block teams, because last year on the right hand side we didn't have someone who can ruthlessly just keep going, attack. Like when we had Kyle Walker, I'm hoping it's going to be of a similar ilk to that, because Kyle Walker also had his reservations defensively as well, didn't he?
At the beginning he did, yeah. He did definitely work on it. And he also improved his output as well, his final ball. And definitely, hopefully, look, if Spence gets the space Emerson did at some points last season, hopefully he can do more with it, whether it's direct dribbling or getting good crosses into the box. So I do think the wingbacks will help, but I would like just one option there as a creative player, just so we have a bit of versatility in options and variations, so that if they decide, look, we're going to block out the wingbacks and they're going to force them down the centre, then that's okay. We can handle that. But right now I feel like that might be a way of stopping us. Who knows, though? But maybe, Kane can compensate.
Super chat here from the line. Sam says, any flashbacks to the way we spent the Bale money? Worries about integrating so many players, or is Conte the difference?
I mean, that is a good point. It's a point that people haven't talked about, that we have signed so many players, and a lot a lot of the times when that happens, you see it with Chelsea a couple of years ago. We spent 200 million on a lot of players, didn't quite work out that season. Obviously, when we spent the Bale money, remember when Liverpool sold Luis Suarez, they signed about 5 or 6 players and it didn't really work. When Barca sold Neymar, although that wasn't their fault, they completely wasted that money on Griezmann, Dembele and Coutinho and complete flops. So there is a case to be said that are we signing too many players? But I do believe it's smart business we're doing. I don't like when we signed those players for the Bale money. It was a bunch of players all around Europe who were completely untested and we didn't know a lot about, and a lot of risks were being. And there was also a lot of players for like middling money. I know we splashed a bit on Soldado and Lamela, but everyone else was like around 10, 15 million, and a lot of them were just prospects and potential rather than proven talent. Whereas now Basuma, Richarlison, Perisic, these are all players we know are going to can make a difference straight away. So I do think it's different.
I don't think you can compare these two windows. I mean, you can compare it in numerically how many players we've brought in, but you can't compare them in terms of personnel. I mean, we got Etienne Capoue instead of Yves Bissouma. You've got Vlad Chiriches instead of Clément Lenglet. You know what I mean? You've got Lamela instead of Richarlison. You know, you've got all these players.
And also, when we signed all those players, I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, Lamela, Eriksson, I think Chadley were all left quite late as well in the window. We were kind of like...
Didn't we sign them all fairly early and Bale left last day of the window, or was it dragging on?
Bale did leave. Bale did leave last day of the window, but I think we signed a few of them early, like Soldado, but a few of them as well. I think Eric, because I remember Lamela made his debut in like the third game of the season
against Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was a bit late to the party. Eriksson, I think, didn't make his debut till after the international break, so I think he was fairly late as well. So I think we did leave it. They weren't there for pre-season. We did leave it late and stuff like that. And I think this time it's different. We've got them all extremely early and with 2 months to spare. So I think it's different. We've gone about this window very differently, and also we're not compensating for the sale of a player. You know, we're not taking. It's not like we sold Harry Kane and we've signed all those players. We're adding them to Kane. You know what I mean? So imagine we signed all those players with Bale. It might be different.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, yeah, that was an interesting super chat there. But let's start bringing on you guys to have your say. And first up, without further ado, let's go to the Daigle.
There you go, Brian Bagel.
The Daigle. The Daigle.
Jake decided to change my name. How you doing, boys?
We're good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Woke up to finally hearing those 3 words we've been wanting to hear for a long time. Here we go.
Yeah, Daigle, it's been 64 years. We finally signed a right wing back. How are you feeling?
Mate, we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? We were talking about this for a bit, you and me, and thankfully it's over. It's the one signing or the one position that I've wanted to be signed all season as the priority, and it's finally been, or it will finally be done now. What you and me were talking about is whether I think he's ready for right now. I think in a couple of years he'll be phenomenal, but you've got the feeling that he'll be ready right now, and let's hope you're right, because at least all I can say is, I said, once this position we sign someone, this window goes from a great window to a fantastic window for me, and I'm going to be true to my word and say, yeah, it's been a fantastic window.
Did you listen to Des, the Forest fan that we had on before?
No, I woke up about 20 minutes ago.
Well, I go back and listen to it, and I want to know your thoughts on it. But first and foremost,
Okay.
So tell us a bit about what we were speaking about last night and why you don't think Jed Spence is for the here and now.
So it's like I've been saying during the time. The only reason I don't think he's ready for the right now is it's very like with a Dele Alli or only very elite standout players will come through that have been a good player or great player in a championship playoff winning team and go straight into, or maybe straight into, playing Champions League football and maybe even a title pushing team. That is a big leap and whacks a lot of pressure on this kid. And it's whether he has got the credentials. He could have the minerals. He could end up being like a Dele Alli and set the world alight. We just don't know. And for me, that's a position where I've wanted us to sign someone where we can say, right, this guy is quality. He's done it here, or one team for a consistent amount of level, at international level for a consistent level, and you can say, right, he's ready to rock and roll. But like I said, maybe Jed Spence will be that one, like a Dele Alli or someone that's come through the lower leagues and set the world alight. But we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Brian, in terms of our window right now, we've signed a lot of experience with Perisic. We've signed proven players in Bissouma and Richarlison. And obviously a very experienced player in Longley as well. So maybe we can afford to have maybe someone like Jed Spence, right wing back, who has potential. And it doesn't have to be a case where every single signing we make ever has to be proven. Maybe we can use our scouting network to determine that this boy could be something special, and we can compensate that by having experience in most other positions.
So on that note, on what you've just said, I completely agree, because I said once money was invested, there was going to be at some point, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, and I really don't, a signing like this where it was going to be a youngster like I was saying for seasons before. We've always bought lumps of coal hoping they turn into a diamond. Where sometimes we're going to need to buy a load of diamonds and a couple of pieces of coal to try and this fits into that kind of thing. The players we have bought, whether even Forrester, who has got loads of experience, everything is right with that. There was always going to be, though, a couple of players that were younger and ready to grow into the team. So with that, you're completely right. It's just the only reason I keep saying it is because I want this. It's the position. If we'd signed like another 21-year-old or whatever in midfield or somewhere, I would have been absolutely. I'm feeling a lot happier now. But obviously, it's because it's that right wing back and because of the issues we've had in that position, where I didn't want it to be in this position. But what you said is completely right.
We've got a super chat here, Daigle, from Phil P, and he says, question, is Daigle aging backwards because of Conte?
Yeah, I'm going through the Benjamin Button process. It'll be my bar mitzvah in a couple of years. I'm getting that young. But yeah, listen, finally with this man, I keep saying it's the summer of our dreams. It has been the summer of our dreams. It has been the best transfer window in my lifetime, hands down. And we still got more time to come. Got more time to come.
What would you say to Will Stewart super chat, who said, we've had that £150 million invested from Levy and we have all this other money. But right now, when it comes to total outlay, it's probably not that high, considering, the deal for Spence will go up to 20 million. Obviously, Richarlison 60, so we pushed the bar out for that one. So we're probably at the moment 100 million spent with about, at the moment, it's about 30 million brought in. So about 70 million-ish net spend at the moment, with more outgoings expected with Reguilon and Lo Celso and Dombele, Rodon. Net spend could be even lower, down to like 30, 40 million. Would that disappoint you if the net spend was in a decent position at the end, or would is it a case that we have to spend all that money for fans to be satisfied?
I wouldn't say it's a case that we have to spend all the money. The way I've looked at it, I think a lot of it, we keep hearing this word marquee signing. For me, marquee signing, people have got it understood that has to be like a mega money player. And for me, it's not. Perisic is a marquee signing, free for what that guy has done, what that guy will bring. It doesn't always have to be about money. But when it comes to what Will's saying, I tend to I agree with him more than I disagree with him, because obviously you have this investment. You announce you have this investment. Obviously, there's other money from Champions League qualification, Premier League, ticket sales, boxing, NFL. And you'd like to see with Conte that we did actually go out and spend a large amount, so we have that squad there. But if we hadn't signed the quality that we have signed, I would have been furious. But Bissouma at 25 million is a fantastic piece of business. I did hear Ben saying earlier, going to spend 60 million on a squad player in Richarlison is something we never, ever would have done. That would have been 60 million on a you walk straight into the team. We spent 60 million on you. You start regardless. But I would like to see more of it spent. I think there are still players out there that could do a job for us in positions that we need. And when you announce you've got this money, I know they said it's not all going in transfers, but then when you bring in the net profit that we always bloody well speak about, you'd like to see that we've actually splurged a bit and actually maybe not even had a net profit. It's like for one window, go and spend that money on the players that can literally propel us to challenging seriously for that Premier League title.
Yeah, and in terms of more players that we can bring in, Dan Kilpatrick says today that Antonio Conte still wants an attacking midfielder. Who would you like to see come in that role?
Well, the one I would like is, and I've said it all along, would be James Maddison, but he won't come. He won't come. I'm not even jumping on this bandwagon. When it comes to attacking midfield players,
why won't he come? Why won't he come?
Well, it's another discussion you and me have had.
He's a gooner, isn't he, Madison?
Yeah, but so is Doherty.
He's not. He's actually a Coventry fan. He's actually a Coventry fan. But the thing is, he has a soft spot for Arsenal. He put some very, very offensive tweets out about Spurs years ago. He's never. We also messed him about, funnily enough, when he moved from Coventry to Norwich and then Norwich to Leicester. And he's one of those players, like we've seen before, where players are like Christian Benteke. Now, I'm not putting them in the same category. We almost got him that first season that he was at Villa. We screwed him over. And then he literally said, when he was ready to leave, I won't talk to Tottenham again after what they did to me. It's just one of those scenarios again. And I think James Maddison would be absolutely perfect at Tottenham Hotspur. I love him as a player. I just don't think he will come. And if he does come, if it is one that comes out of the bag, I will be absolutely over the goddamn moon if we get him.
What kind of fee? What kind of fee do you think he would command?
I think you're talking, like you said to me. I think you're looking at 70. I think
70 million.
You've got to remember, like when Leicester sold Harry Maguire. This isn't the Leicester years ago. They don't need the money. Mm-hmm. They do not need the money, and they will not haggle. They will not. They will not literally go into these games. So they will set a price. And they'll be like, meet it or leave us alone. And they'll be absolutely, they won't entertain an offer from us if it's below what they ask for, or if they have players in, if it's not players they want. So I just don't see it happening. But I think you're looking at 70.
It's a lot of money for him, isn't it? 70 million for James Maddison.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's better players out there. When it comes to the attacking midfield positions, I haven't really, it's one of those positions that I've said, I think this is one that you can afford to kick down the road and then see if something comes up before transfer deadline day, because the most important thing we all know was to sort out the wing backs, wasn't it? And it looks like they've been sorted.
So if the transfer window closed today, what would you rate it? And give us decimals. Don't be a rookie. Yeah.
I mean, I've got the diet bug. It's definitely got to be. Life with no decimals is no life, really. Now, isn't it? So I'm going to go for an 8.8.
8.8. Wow.
8. Go on, Brian.
And that if it closes right now.
Mate, I said all along, even when I did the show, Ben, with you and David, I kept saying the whole time, at the moment it was like a 6.5 or something, but the second a right back comes in, then that jumps up for me, and that's what I'm sticking to. That was the number one position I wanted a body in on all season, and it's happened. So then I've got to be a man of my word again and say, that it's been an 8.8.
And if we bring in the other two targets, an attacking midfielder and a centre back,
a 16 out of 10, a 16.7.
16.7 out of 10.
Almost forgot the decimal there, so 16.7.
All right, amazing stuff. I mean, I think you've given the highest rating that I've heard.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Exactly. Absolutely stunning stuff.
Saying, yes, I am still Levy out. It's one window, yada, 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 yada. Just let me get that caveat in. Keep it going, Levy. Keep it going.
All right. So that should be the new hashtag. Keep it going, Levy.
Keep it going, Levy.
Keep it going.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying because I brought back the fingers and I was going to say, buy a fucking right back. And they've done it before I can bring it back.
They're watching you. They're saying, let's see what Daigle's putting on his fingers today. And then they're going to...
That's why they've pushed the deal through today. They're like, shit, Daigle's putting his fingers back.
You never know. But listen, it's a good signing to bring in the weekend, isn't it? And then obviously we've got the get up at 5 a.m. for the pump-up show tomorrow before we play Sevilla.
Absolutely. Excited to see Eric Lamela back against Spurs.
Oh, mate, I can't wait to see him go to war with Richarlison and Romero. I mean, anyone that starts to shit out of us now, they're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah. Just before we let you go, Will Stewart says in the comments, stop being so negative, Brian.
I know, it's horrible. I'm actually breaking into a cold sweat.
But big up. Thanks, Daigle, for coming on today, mate, and we'll see you soon.
Always a pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend. Shabbat shalom. Love to everyone. See you later.
See you later, my man.
Bye-bye.
There is a couple sources claiming that the Depay to Spurs is hotting up a bit.
Oh, really?
RMC Sport are claiming that Tottenham are preparing to make an offer, and Ekrem Kono, who's not a very good source, but he says that Tottenham are looking to make a bid of £17 million for Memphis Depay from Barcelona.
So, like, what is Memphis Depay? Because he plays up front a lot, but he's not a natural striker, is he?
I think he turned into a natural striker because he was a winger a lot of the time at Lyon, before Lyon, and then he moved to Lyon. And he played up front pretty much all the time there. And he became a number 9, so much so that I think didn't Barca give him the number 9, did they? Or,
potentially, yeah.
When they signed him, and he was definitely signed for them to play as a striker, that's for sure. So he's definitely I'll call him a versatile forward. I mean, I wouldn't say no to him. It just doesn't make too much sense in my mind unless maybe Moore is going. That we sign him. Obviously, he goes ahead of Moore in the pecking order. He does give us 6 options, and you look at as much as right now we have 5 options in the forward positions. 6 maybe if you can say Perisic can play there, but 5. You compare that to City. You compare that to Liverpool, even Arsenal. A lot of them you could argue have more than that as attacking options. So you could maybe do with one more, but. Memphis Depay definitely comes with a attitude and with ego, and whether you can manage that in the dressing room, it's a big question. We've already got one. There's question marks over Richarlison's ego and stuff, but he seems to have adapted well. But whether someone like Depay can come in and be a good influence in the dressing room and also get a lot of game time and fight for his space and also be available and be good. A lot of question marks there. But, look, we know this is a player with supreme quality. Yeah. And if when fit, can definitely be a very good player. So
that's the sticking point for me, when fit, because he's had a lot of injury problems. I mean, he did an ACL not long ago as well, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Or something similar. So I think that I think Depay, I've always been a big fan of Depay in terms of how good of a footballer he is, because I think he's brilliant. I mean, his record for Holland, 80 games, 42 goals, is a brilliant return. He always goes and scores goals wherever he does. He
was playing well for Barca before Xavi came. I think he had a pretty good goal scoring record, and then, I don't know, he got injured or fell out of favour when Aubameyang came and stuff like that.
When Aubameyang came, he actually played quite a few games in the number 10 role.
Who did?
Depay. So look, I think it's definitely a good option. In Lyon, he played
a cheap deal.
Yeah, it is cheap. 139 games, 63 goals, 45 assists.
Yeah, he was very good for Lyon.
He was monstrous for Lyon.
Yeah, that's why Barca signed him on a free. They did sign him on a free though, so that assumes he's probably on pretty good wages.
We'll check out the wages and I'll bring that and see how much he is on. But let's bring on our next guest, which is Hassan. Hassan, how you doing, boy?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, man. Obviously, we've brought in Jed Spence. The Here We Go has been given to us today. Finally, we're getting a right wing back. This one has been rumbling on literally since the first day. Well, not even of the window, about a month before the window. How happy are you that we finally got him in?
It's a tough one because in a Conte system, the most important positions are your wing backs, and you got Perisic on the other side, and then you got Sessegnon. So you got an experienced one who's Champions League proven, all that, and then you have Sessegnon who's up and coming, could use that mentorship. And then you look to the right hand side, and you got Doherty, Emerson, and now Spence. Now I think Spence is comparable to like a Sessegnon in terms of his lack of experience and all that. And then you got Doherty and Emerson. That's my only concern, because if we come up against, I don't know, Bayern Munich in the Champions League group stages, which right wing back is going to be put out? If we chuck Emerson out there to be defensive, we're not going to get anything going forward. If you stuck Doherty out there, then we're not going to get much defensively.
Well, you say
So
that, Hassan. You say that, but you know, Emerson came in against Man City, against Liverpool, put in really good defensive displays, and it didn't really hinder us going forward. We had loads of chances those games, especially coming from that side.
That's true, but it's worked against teams like Liverpool and Man City because they play so open. Obviously, I don't watch Bayern, so I don't know how they play. And obviously, if they play a similar way, then sure. For me, I think Spence can definitely be the player we need him to be. I think Conte. Look, I see people everywhere saying online this is a Daniel Levy signing. This is Conte didn't have any input. I don't think we would be going for months and months after the same player if Conte was like no.
I
Right?
agree.
Maybe it wasn't his first target. Bastoni was his first target for left centre back. It didn't happen. Right? We got Longley in. Conte approved that. So I'm sure there was a discussion saying, "Oh, I want this specific person." Didn't happen. Spence came up and he said, "You know what? Sure, go get him." Right? And I think people need to understand that when people look at players, it's not a specific name. It's sometimes a profile that comes up. I mean, you look at Spence. What's that profile, right? We need a attacking fullback, and Spence fits that perfectly. He can actually beat a man. We don't see it often, right? Doherty's a different type of wing back. He runs into the box. He's not a person you don't really see him, beating a man using pace. He's not that type of fullback, but Spence is. He can beat a man in. He's really good on the ball. He's really quick. He's not too shabby defensively, and I think under Conte he can really blossom. And at the start, I wasn't the biggest fan, but it's been going on for about 2 months now, so might as well join on the train, right? So yeah, look, I'm happy that he's in because we needed a right wing back, and for Conte's sake and for our sake, we needed him to come in before the start of the season, and finally, Daniel Levy's come up with the goods.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about wing backs being the most important position, which is true. They are very important, but you got to remember at Chelsea, he won the league with Alonso and Moses as his wing backs. So that who knows what he can do with the likes of Jed Spence, now that he's got him in early and he can mould him at a young age to be the wing back that he wants. Obviously, he's got Perisic already, who he knows and he trusts. Also at Inter Milan, a lot of the time, Ashley Young was playing at wing back and players of that ilk. He re-signed Moses for Inter. He had to play a lot of games there. So, do you think people may be looking too much at the name and underestimating what Conte can do?
Yeah, I think a few people, one, probably haven't seen Spence. And just simply seeing, it's not Molina, it's not the other person, the other name that's coming up. It's not a, proven right wing back, and straight away people are sort of brushing him off. And, partly that's fair enough. We would like an experienced right wing back, but at the end of the day, like I said before, it's a profile, and clearly Paratici has identified that he's a profile player that we need. You look at Longley, right? People are, saying, "Oh, why did we sign Longley? We should have gone for someone else." Well, what does Conte want from his left centre back? He wants someone who can play out from the back, who's pressure resistant, and who's good passing. And what does Longley have? He has all those three traits. So I think people have to start shifting from, "I want this specific player. This is thing," to what type of profile player do we need? And you look at Emerson, he can't beat a man to save his life. You look at Spence, he can. He does that regularly if you watch him. So I think people have to just welcome him. Is probably not the big right wing back signing we all wanted, but I think is 100% improvement on what we have. And I think under Conte, the couple of weeks that he has with preseason with Conte, I think he can definitely mold him into that player.
In terms of the players, the personnel that we've got at right wing back at the moment, so now Spence, Doherty, Emerson, do you expect us to sell one of Doherty or Emerson, and if so, which one?
I've seen, of course, when you see reports, it's difficult to see what's true or what's not. But I've definitely seen a few about the loan move to Atletico. That's gone around a bit. And if we really wanted him to be gone, if Conte really wanted him to be out the door, one, he wouldn't be on pre-season. He wouldn't be. We saw that with Reguilon. He does not think he's good for left wing back. He's at home, so he definitely sees something in Emerson. Okay, maybe we don't, but he definitely sees something. And if Atletico is calling for a loan deal, I'm sure we would have taken that and shipped him off. So clearly he does see something. And in my personal opinion, with wingbacks being so athletically demanding, I would take 3. Because if Doherty gets injured again, right, and he gets injured early in the season, or one of them gets injured early in the season, then when we only have 2 for Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League. So if we only have 2 and one gets injured, then we only have 1 wing back for all those different type of competitions. So I think we should keep all 3. But if I was to take one out, it would be Emerson, just for the fact that Doherty's better attacking. And I think with a back 3, the defensive issues aren't as much of a problem. Because sometimes you see, especially early on, that Romero was covering a bit for Emerson. So I think if that has to happen, it might happen for Doherty as well.
Yeah, and it's actually a good point, because if we do keep all 3, I mean, Doherty can be the cover at left wing back as well as a third choice. So it gives us 3 options on either side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. In terms of, look, that's our 6th signing of the summer. Obviously, there's even promise of potentially more signings to come after Jed Spence. What would you like to see us prioritise now, from now to the end of the window?
An attacking midfielder and a centre-back. I think it's clear that we need an attacking midfielder. Look, with the improvements at wing-back, I think it will be a lot easier to break down those, park the bus sort of teams. I think, it will help. But I still think that creating midfielder to unlock those kind of teams is needed, and a centre-back as well. Look, I think Longley can definitely surprise us. I think he can definitely be a good left centre-back for what we need. And, of course, Eric Dyer did amazing last season. The improvement is clear. But I still think we need maybe a slight improvement, or at least someone else. Because I think Rodon is most likely going to depart, whether that's on loan or whether that's permanently. So I think we still need one other centre-back. I would have liked to see us try and go for Koulibaly, but obviously that ship has sailed. So I think one more central defender and an attacking midfielder.
Who do you have any in mind in terms of attacking midfielder you would like to see? Is there anyone that
I've
tickles
heard
your fancy?
Paqueta, the one from Lyon.
Yeah.
He seems to want to move to the Premier League, and we all have PTSD from Ndombele about Lyon and getting midfielders from there. But look, he's definitely someone that I would look at. Madison, but obviously there's history there, so who knows if he'll come. Look, I still will never understand why we didn't look at Christian Eriksen. I just think that's, look, clearly something Conte didn't want, otherwise we would have 100% gone for him. And it'll always be a mystery to me why we haven't. But yeah, I think
maybe if you saw Conte's and Ventrone's training regime, maybe that's a good reason why we didn't take Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, maybe that could actually be a reason. After the incident, his contract at Inter did expire. Obviously, that's also more health related, but there's obviously a physical aspect to that as well. So it could be a reason where they're worried that maybe he just couldn't take it. If Kane's vomiting, right, what's going to happen to a person who got a full healthy heart? So maybe that was the reason.
And finally, before we let you go, we've been linked to Memphis Depay again today. How would you like to see him through the door?
It's personally I would, but I don't know if he would come, because he's not getting much game time at Barca. Aubameyang's coming in, Dembele's re-signed, so he's going to be looking for a place, if he's going to leave, that he'll get lots of opportunities. And we already got Son. Perisic can play left wing sometimes as well, and that's always an option. People seem to forget that he can play left wing as well. Richarlison's now there as a striker, right winger, left winger. Kulusevski's there, Lucas Moura is there. So, me personally, obviously, I'd love to take him. He's a quality player and he'll improve our squad dramatically. But will he take it for the lack of game? I don't know.
Fair enough. And I said last question, but this is the real last question. What's the rating? What's your rating of the window? And don't be a rookie and give me decimals.
Yeah,
If it closed today.
If it closed today. Look, I don't want to think you people might have a go at me for this, but if it closed today without an attacking midfield and another centre back, probably like a 7.5. And that might seem a bit harsh because, getting 6 signings before, the end of July is sort of unheard of, not just in Tottenham, in general.
Yeah.
And I think our signings have been smart. I think Basuma is amazing. Charlton is great, but just a bit more. I think just a little bit more. Just a midfielder that we go, okay, he's gonna unlock that defense, or defender we're like, okay, he's something. So I think if you get one more, so that just makes us go, wow. I think you'll probably go up to maybe like an 8.5. But for now, I'm gonna stick at 7.5.
All right, Hassan, thanks for coming on today, my friend, and we'll speak to you soon.
Lads. All right, come on, Spurs.
Come on. Big up. 7.5 though. 8.5 if we bring in another player.
Still fairly high.
It is fairly high. I mean, the year that we signed, when we had Jose Mourinho and we signed the Rodens and the Højbjergs, I mean, we gave it a very high score that year. We gave it like a 9 or something.
Yep, we did. It didn't quite work
and
out.
now we're not even giving it we're giving it like just below an 8.
Yeah, true. So maybe we'll learn our lesson.
Let's go on to our next guest, and that is Mikey. You
Hey,
right, Mikey? What shirt are you wearing there?
Ajax.
Ajax. Channeling your inner Lisandro Martinez. That's what it is.
No, I've been trying to. I have about 15 football jerseys in my drawer that I never wear, so I'm trying to get through some of them now, and this is one that I copped a couple of years back. So yeah. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, all good. I mean, another day, another signing. Jed Spence. We got the here we go this morning from Fabrizio. What's your feelings on the Jed Spence signing?
Jed Spence. I mean, it's one that I've expected to go through for a long time, and I'm happy that it's finally being done because we've had so many reports of it could be done within the next 48 hours. We've heard that about 4 or 5 times, and then Middlesbrough want more money or Tottenham aren't willing to offer, and we were haggling for about 500,000 to £1 million. I heard a couple of weeks ago, and I was scared that Middlesbrough might just say, nah, we're not going to entertain this. But the player wanted the move, we wanted the move, and ultimately the move has gone through. So it's a deal all parties are happy with, well, with the exception of perhaps our existing right wing backs. But yeah, it does seem to me that now that we've got 3 right wing backs and possibly 3 left wing backs, Reguilon being linked heavily to Sevilla, whether that's on loan or a permanent deal, it looks to me like Conte is preparing for a system where Sessegnon and Perisic are the left wing backs, Emerson and Spence are the right wing backs, and Doherty's just kind of filling in for both positions. If, you have that 5th option who's the sort of bridge between them. Doherty can play left, he can play right. So I think he'll get rid of one of the left wing backs and then use Doherty as a third backup for both choices. So you're not having 6, good quality wing backs.
You're thinking Doherty and Emerson will both stay? Do you think?
I do think so, yeah, because I've seen a lot of reports saying Emerson, Conte, and Paratici have no plans to sell or loan out Emerson this summer, and I don't see anyone coming in for Doherty unless we get like an offer back from someone looking at him. But I can't see why we would let them go, because especially when Doherty can cover both positions, and Emerson would be a more defensive option and Jed Spence would be a more attacking option.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the transfer window so far, that's our 6th signing. We had a super chat before saying we've signed many players before. Like when we spent the Bell money, we signed 7 players with the promise of more signings already this window. Is there any worry for you that there's a lot of new players coming to Tottenham and it could take a while to integrate them? Or do you think it's different this time with the amount of signings Tottenham are making?
I think there will be some of them that will gel in easier than others. I mean, we haven't seen Forster isn't He's going to be a backup keeper, but like I think Spence might take a while to get going. Young player, haven't been tested in the Prem yet, so obviously there is an expectation that he will take a few games to settle in. But when I think Bissouma and Richarlison already looked to. I didn't watch the whole K League game because I don't have Spurs play, but I watched the highlights and he seemed happy to be playing in his first game. So I'm confident that him and Bissouma won't take too long to gel. Perisic has worked with Conte before. He's a very experienced pro, so I'm not too worried about 6, 7, 8, even 8 new players coming in and us needing to wait for them to gel, because I think the bulk of our signings will have 4 games of preseason under their belt, so that'll be 3 or 4 preseason games, so that'll be good news for the upcoming season. And I hope that Forster and Bissouma have COVID, so I hope they get ready, they get well quickly and can play in the Rangers game. So yeah.
Yeah, let's hope so. And, there's rumours about us bringing in Memphis Depay. Dan Kilpatrick says that Antonio still wants an attacking midfielder. Would you want Depay? And if you wouldn't want Depay, who would you want in that attacking midfield role?
I don't want Memphis Depay. His time at Man United still lives long in the memory. And
he was just a kid then, though.
Well, yeah, but then he matured in the French league, he's gone to Barca. But I think I would have loved Depay if we had just signed Richarlison, who can play across the front line and is not a similar type of player, but he provides cover in the same positions that Memphis Depay does. I don't see Depay he doesn't play on the right that often. So without the signing of Richarlison, I probably would have said, yeah, get him in. But with the sale of Bergwijn and the signing of Richarlison, I don't see Memphis Depay, first of all, wanting to leave Barcelona because, it's Barcelona. And second of all, wanting to come to Tottenham where he's not going to be a guaranteed starter, because obviously Kane and Son retain their places. And then you've got Kulusevski, Mora and Richarlison, for that right wing spot. And you're going to add Memphis Depay to that mix. There wouldn't be many opportunities for a player of his quality as there would be at Barcelona. So I don't think it makes sense from a Tottenham point of view, and I don't think it makes sense from Depay's point of view. Maybe Barcelona need the money, but that would be my thing. And as for an attacking midfielder, I hadn't really thought about this option, but I was watching a James Lawrence Alcott video the other day, and he suggested that for all the links that Tottenham have had to attacking midfielders, why don't they take a punt on Giovanni Lo Celso being that attacking midfielder in a midfield too, because he's never played that type of position before, and who knows, maybe he could flourish there. So
it does seem as though Conte has made up his mind on Giovanni, though.
I know, because obviously he didn't travel. Same with Ndombele, Winks, and Reguilon. I think those 4 players it's quite clear they've been earmarked as the four most likely departures, which hopefully we could raise more than 50 million in sales for those 4. If Reguilon doesn't go on loan, I'm quite annoyed that most of these players have been linked with a loan move away rather than a permanent sell, because we just need to get rid of them, not keep loaning them out and having them come back each summer and then going again. So I just want to see them out the door in a deal that doesn't have to get them back in next summer. But ultimately, Lo Celso's time has probably flown at Tottenham, and Eriksen would have been a no-brainer for me, like Hassan said. But I don't know who we would turn to for an attack midfield. I mean, James Maddison maybe, but he's a good enough player to start for a top 6 club, not be a rotation midfield option. So, maybe he's put off by that. Isn't he an Arsenal fan as well? So
he is an Arsenal fan, but so is Matt Doherty.
Fair enough. So was Matt Doherty. Yeah, I mean,
what about someone like Danny Olmo? I know he'll cost a lot of money, but he would be like the perfect for me, wouldn't he?
He would be. He can actually play cover on the left as well, if I'm not mistaken. He's a very, very good. I mean, he plays for Leipzig, I believe, and
yeah,
I remember a couple of years ago when they signed him, I didn't really know who he was, and I watched the highlight reel. He looked pretty good. Obviously, highlight reels only show the good, not the bad or the ugly. But he would cost at least 50, 60 mil, and I don't see us, our Buster Bank signing this summer was Richarlison. I don't see us buying another huge name. I think we probably look for someone on sort of like a maybe 15 to 25 million pound attacking midfielder deal. Do you know what? Actually, I think Alexis McAllister from Brighton would be a shout. I mean, I know he'd cost money, and we've already taken Bissouma, and they would be unlikely to sell. But he would be a decent option in that sort of attacking midfield position, I'd say. But you know, he's had his moments of good and bad. So that would be sort of a player like that, not necessarily, you know, a huge starter name, but who can definitely pick a pass. And I think Eriksen would have fitted that mold, but you know, we chose not to go for him, and we didn't. And now he hasn't been confirmed for Man United yet, but it's all been confirmed and everything.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to happen.
So yeah.
All right, Mikey. Thanks a lot for coming on today, my friend, and we'll speak to you next time.
That's all,
You're
Mikey.
welcome. Bye.
See you. Few super chats to get through. First one from George Ewan says, Daigle is a legend. Yes, he is. And you are a legend as well, George, in your own right. So big up, George. There was a couple more here. One from AT saying, hopefully you've finally got that Walker replacement. How much money have we wasted on right backs? 1 expensive signings equals 5 cheap signings. And yeah, we have wasted a lot of money on right backs since Walker has left.
Let's hopefully we finally found our man.
Yeah, let's hope so. Will Stewart with the super chat, big up Will, says, lads, Conte considers Son and Kulu as attacking midfielders, not the classic number 10. I think he is looking for another Richarlison type signing.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I do wonder just whether he feels like maybe one more option up top would be best, considering we have 5, but just that one more. But I think it needs to be versatile player.
I mean, he says he wants 2 for every position, right? So you would assume it's Son Richarlison or Kane Richarlison, one of the 2, Lucas Kulusevski, and then you've got to bring in one more either for Son or for Kane. So makes sense.
Yeah.
And look who we have coming on next.
Some bad news for Arsenal and Chelsea fans.
What's
Gnabry has signed a new deal at Bayern Munich. So he
was actually never linked to Arsenal. It's just Arsenal fans trying to...
bad news for him anyway.
Arsenal fans were like, he will never move to another team in the Premier League. He would never do that to us, even though... but anyway.
Anyway, he signed a deal, so he's not going to the Premier League. Looks like this summer.
Happy days. Let's go on to our new guest. Hasn't been on the channel in a while. We've got the Jorical. Let's bring him on. Jory, how you doing, my man? Oh, he's frozen.
He's frozen just as he's about to speak.
Just as he was shifting his glasses over. Jory, what happened there? Try reconnect. Hopefully we'll get you back on.
There he is.
Oh, he's back. Jory!
Hey, guys.
How are you,
Jory.
man?
I'm good. I've been busy. I've been traveling with the kids and so on. So,
how you been? You been anywhere nice?
Yeah, Tenerife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, you know, your basic summer holiday type thing, you know, water slides and all of that.
Happy days. Happy days.
Well, Spurs have been busy in your absence, that's for sure.
Yeah, very busy in your absence. We haven't spoken to you in a while. So how have you assessed the transfer window so far?
I mean, I think my last call in we were going over a little bit, and I think it's been a very good transfer window. Well, you know, at this point in time now, I think it's changed a little bit. I would say, for if you're gonna compare it to Spurs transfer business historically, it's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
If you're now comparing it to what big clubs do, we're still lacking a bit. You know, we definitely need some major. I would say we need one heavy hitter at least, preferably 2, for if we're gonna be acting like the clubs that we want to now, you know, give true competition. You know, so yeah.
What positions do they need to come in?
So I think the thing about Kunde now, I think that's both real interest, sure, but I also think it's maybe a little bit of trying to apply pressure once again to Inter to try and see something loosen up with Bastoni, even though it's not maybe likely. But I think Conte is the type of guy that won't give up on this. I mean, I think I watched the K-League game, and I mean, we can't read too much into it, but one thing I think we can read into it is what the guys do with their head, what kind of decisions they make. And we're still very lacking. There's a lot of bad decisions being made, especially defensively. I don't read too much into form or play as such. It's more like, how did you come to the conclusion of this kind of stuff? And I definitely don't think Conte was too happy with it. I mean, I don't think he either puts too much into it, but I do think we have a big part of our squad that's struggling with these things in general, And I think bringing in Perisic is going to make a big difference in those in that regard, Bringing in even a young player like Bissouma, when I watched Bissouma in Brighton, when he was like in form, and on the pitch, the whole midfield was very disciplined. It was very tight. So I think Basuma is definitely one with a good head and so on. So I I mean I definitely rate this window, but like I said, now I'm putting us in there with Man City and Liverpool and the big clubs in Europe, and we're still kind of a little bit shortchanging ourselves there, I think. Yeah.
That's interesting. What in terms of our right wing back options now? With Spence coming in, do you expect one of Doherty or Emerson to leave? And if so, which one do you think will leave?
I'm not sure. I kind of agree with it might be I feel like that's probably what the board wants. I think Conte at this moment would feel bad about I think he would think it would be leaving that flank too thin, because as we know, it's gonna be our main source of output, or its main source of opportunities, chance creation and so on. So we can't one injury, and then we start struggling with these two big competitions going ahead, So definitely think Emerson is likely to stay. I think Conte believes in him. I like talking about decisions. It's like, for me, the thing about there's been such a debate about Emerson always. Like the way I always saw Emerson is when he came in Nuno, when Nuno for some reason wanted to build some kind of Spanish tiki-taka team or whatever. He fit it right in. He was often one of the better players, if not the best player, in some of those first matches before it all went pear-shaped with Nuno. So he's comfortable as that right back, and we've seen the last games, for example. I saw Emerson bail out Romero more than once, So he has the pace, he has the defensive skills. His head is a little bit erratic, and then the big one is going forward. He really. I mean, one thing is, I don't think it's so much a skill thing, because Emerson is very technical player. I think it's more like making the right decisions in the final third is something he's not used to doing, So he constantly really makes bad decisions, So and we saw that in the K League, don't be standing on your heels when you're the first one that's gonna get the rebound. That rebound where he hit the post is pretty. It's a pretty likely scenario of happening, right? So you be on your toes when you're in that situation. Don't be surprised that the ball comes to you and then you have to shoot a bad shot. Not that I want to judge him on that alone, but I thought there was a little bit more of the same in terms of those forward struggles that Emerson has had. But I think, that being said, everything that's a head problem is something that we can, at least in theory, we can fix. So I think that's what Conte is seeing as well. You know, if I work with this guy, he actually has the raw talent to be somebody I can use. You know, so.
In terms of our summer and the amount of players we brought in, this is our 6th signing of the summer, with promise of potentially more to come as well, and maybe attacking midfielder and another centre back. Is there any worry for you about maybe integrating so many players into one team for the start of the season, or is it a case of this is what was needed for the squad? But historically, when teams have bought a large amount of players like this, a lot of the times it does take some time to have them settle in.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I'm a little bit rethinking my own. The way I saw it always, and I still kind of see it like that, but the way I saw it was that like the actual goal for this season is 3rd place. That's our real ambition. But we're going to be on the fence in terms of if the 2 big ones falter, we're going to try and pounce. And I think we would then do big business in January as well. I think that's very much a Conte kind of way of approaching things, you know. But I think now actually Conte maybe is reinventing himself a little bit. I think he's kind of looking a little bit longer arc, you know, a longer stay, to be honest, which is a great thing, you know. And I also, to be honest, I think Conte is like, Tottenham is a little bit of Conte's dream come through, you know, because it's the whole structure that needs fixing. And actually, at this moment in time, Levy and the board are kind of letting him fix it, you know, which is kind of what I think a Conte would absolutely love, you know. And Levy, I think then the ENIC gang is looking to exit while Conte is here, you know, and just that's fine, you know. I think that all of those things make sense and good moves from whether it be Conte or Levy, you know. But I think maybe Conte is gonna have more patience than I actually expected when it comes to this season. But I still think our goal is to up ourselves, get above Chelsea now, and to be honest, I would be disappointed if we don't. You know, how do you guys feel? You know what? You know?
I think you've got to set your sights to finish above Chelsea this season. You just have to, and I think that right now, if the window closed right now, I think we got a better squad than Chelsea. But we all know Chelsea are linked to big players, and they're going to bring in big players from now until the end of the window. But I think it's a big thing that we've got our business done early, because it's a longer integration time than we've got than what Chelsea have. So I think that's got to be our aim, is to go to finish in the top 3. And if Liverpool and Man City drop off by 5-10 points, then we'll be there ready to pounce. I'm looking at next season where we got to hit at least 85 points. At least.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, guys, I think, like, you know, even though people are making way too much out of Nunes not scoring and stuff like that, you know, even a Haaland into City, like, just think about it. Like, Haaland is crazy stats and will definitely be somebody to reckon with and all that. I'm not saying that, but we have to remember the whole City team now needs to transition from a non-striking team into a striker team. You know, there's like some fundamental changes that need to be done there, which could take a season to iron out. You know, the same with Liverpool. You know, Nunes has amazing stats as well. It's the Portuguese league, and so on, and Europa. It's not the Premier League. You know, we know how some players, especially attacking players, falter when they get under this type of pressure that the Premier League does. But even without that, you have to consider the fact that you know, they're now gonna have to structure and play without a Mane now, which has been a key component of their whole play. You know,
absolutely.
So that also can take a season. So actually, this season coming up could be well suited for you know, being this kind of ready to spring and take the opportunity if it presents itself, you know. So, and in terms of Chelsea, even though he's showing ambition and all of that, I think the whole organization's got to be struggling a little bit compared to what we've seen Chelsea these 2 decades under Abramovich. There's gonna be some adjustment. I don't believe anything else. Even though they got the money, fine. Money is not everything. That's not. It's too easy to say that Chelsea's success is all down to Abramovich pouring money into it. They did good business. They were clever about running the club and So I think we can definitely. There's a lot of opportunities coming up, but again, we're also rebuilding a whole squad ourselves, so we might need that season to get in form or transition properly, But knowing Conte, I actually think preseason he will be ready, I think we're the most likely of all the teams to come out of the start like screaming ahead. It's more, for me, it's more a question of if we can keep it up. You know how we've been historically, and this is our senior players also. They lose the focus, come around Christmas time, the focus starts faltering, so
and we do have Chelsea away, second game of the season, so it could be an important time to lay down that marker.
Yeah, I'm likely to be in town, guys. So
I've heard the rumors, Jory. I've heard the rumors.
Yes, so I'm looking for tickets, as you probably heard as well. And anyway, I hope to, however that goes, I hope to meet you guys when I'm 100%. In town.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, Jory, we got a super chat here from Phil P. Seeing as Boris has stepped down as PM of England, he says, "Is Jory available to be UK Prime Minister? Are you putting your hat in the ring, Jory?"
Consider the role, Jory?
It might be, yeah. Like,
is that why you're coming to London, right?
Yeah, I mean, do I get overtime as well?
You get overtime. You get to run as many parties as you want, and
all right. I get to stay in that Downing Street flat there,
exactly.
And I'm assuming that Tottenham would automatically become state-backed after that.
No. I'm gonna bring some new way of running stuff. No state backing from me. Iceland's founded by Vikings that didn't want to submit to the king and the state. So it'll be more anarchy. I'll bring more anarchy to the UK, guys, if you want me.
I love it.
Why not?
Bring in the Sex Pistols. Why not?
Exactly.
But Jory, thank you so much for coming on again. Good to chat to you, and
we'll
good
speak
to soon.
See you guys, and keep up the great work. Even though I'm not calling in, it's busy, but I always catch you. If not live, I'll watch them afterwards. So keep me entertained while I'm in Saudi Arabia now for a month. I'm going tonight, so
have a safe trip.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I'll try and call you from there. Actually,
Good.
I hope
work
so.
out.
We look forward to it, Jory.
Love it, Jory.
Speak to you soon, my friend.
Take care, guys. And I just want to say much love and big up, Brian. I can't wait to. Brian McLeod is in the back here. I can't wait to hear your comments, mate. And I want to meet you as well when I come in town, Brian. So let's make that happen. All right. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that was Jory. Big up, Jory, the Joracle, back on the channel. And another guy, well, we had a spoiler, but he also hasn't been on the channel in quite a while.
Kind of a spoiler.
And that is Brian's McLeod. You're on mute, Brian's.
I love that. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, my friend. How are you, man?
You could be a Brian. Why not?
You take it? The way that Brian Bagel is looking these days, he's bringing the Brian back. What's happening with that guy? What is he drinking? Huh? He's looking sexier by the second. What's going on over there?
He's drinking that Levy juice.
He's drinking Levy's juice. I mean,
He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
That's right.
Exactly.
Brains. We've made another signing today. 6th signing of the summer. Spence, Jed Spence. What's your thoughts on Jed Spence? I don't feel it's going to be a positive one.
What even is going on with this club? It's amazing. Like, I was gonna genuinely. I actually. It's one of those things. Is like when you hear you're linked with a player, you're kind of like a bit standoffish. But I was like, I've got a friend who he's quite young and he played non-league and then he played in League Two, and he was telling me about certain players. Like, if you're of a certain age, there's an age where you pass where it's like it is the differences between the leagues is like drastic, but that's got a lot to do with like confidence levels and stuff. And he was saying like he actually knows Jed, and he was saying like, mate, he's like gonna just destroy the Prem. And I was like, yeah, but like that's how can and yeah, like the dude who was on earlier was saying that he's been playing like like he's way above a level that a lot of the players he's came through the ranks, came through the youth systems. He's always been like one of those players is like who's people have spoke of him being like this is the future. So I mean, yeah, and like it's hard to tell because we didn't watch all of Forest's games last season, but what we did see, it was like, wow, okay. So I want to see him. I want to see what he does. I still think it's a great signing for that fact of like, yeah, we've got like experience here, experience there. We've got some like incredible signings done. If it stopped and we didn't get another signing in, I would still have given it a 7. All right, 7.1 if you want, right? I'd have still given it a good, a really good mark. But getting him in, and to think that we still might get 1 or 2 more in, if we get another one in, I would give it a 9. I'd give it a 9 point something. Like if we got another 2 in, yeah, it's as close as a 10. I mean, what would you say a 10 is? Like, are you saying a 10 is like marquee players in every position?
I guess if you a 10 for me would probably be one attacking midfielder, maybe someone like a Bastoni or like a really top class centre half, and then all of a sudden you might be looking at 10. Although, when you end the window with the options we have at right wing back, some would say it's not a 10. But when you look at the options we have at right wing back, Spence, Emerson, Doherty. First of all, is that enough for you, like to be where we want to be of those 3? And second of all, if we do have to let go of one of Doherty or Emerson, first of all, do you see us letting go of one of them, and if so, which one?
The hard one to let go is Emerson, because it's like it breaks up like Lucas and Emerson's bromance that they've got going. They seem like inseparable right now, and it's kind of cute, but I can't. I mean, Ben had some good points earlier about the fact that Emerson does have like the defensive side of his game at the end of the season was really like he's super crucial, calm on the ball at the back. So it's kind of like, can you really move a player on just because he hasn't developed a side of his game that as a young player you can develop easier? Or do you move on the older dog who's kind of like he's not really ever had his chance and he's got a little bit of his chance and we're like, oh God, that's it. But then he got injured. So then do you go, well, he could get injured again? Like, so it's not really, what's the highest risk? And I would say maybe the highest risk is keeping Doherty. So like you've got, say, like you were saying, like if you've got one of those games where we're gonna line up with like, just that wall, 2 walls, you're probably gonna want Emerson there. But then if you're going for it, you throw on Spence and he just.
Is there a chance we keep both? Is there a chance we keep both Doherty and Emerson and Spence and have Spence in the side?
I mean, I don't think just like with what's left of the window that you can shift. Like, I don't think either of them will shift. I think we've got priority players that we need to get out. We have to focus on them. And then there's like your Tangangas and your Rodens who we can probably get a little bit of money if we sell, or we loan one of them. But I just don't see that this. I mean, unless the players and their agents are saying, look, well, I'm not going to get game time. I want out. Do you think Doherty is going to be like that? I don't think so. I think Emerson will think that he can fight for his position. And I think Spence will come in and want to play all the time. I think it's actually really healthy. Like how often do we actually get to this position where we have we do have options. Like, look at last season. Like, at one point, we're having players come in playing. You know, we're thinking of putting midfielders and attackers back. You know, it was a shit show. Now we actually have some decent options. I think we can't turn our nose down at that. You know, I think that's a pretty good situation to be in. I wouldn't. I at this point, I don't think I'd get rid of either of them.
Yeah, I feel that as well, just because Doxy can cover both wing backs as well, and then it gives us a lot more variety. But then again, you could argue we're overstocked in those positions. But in terms of the, you know, what we're looking at after now, Spence, you said an attacking midfielder. Who is there one that you have on your mind who you'd be interested in us getting through the door?
Yeah, like I think there's a few. I'm not mad at if we brought in Paqueta. Like I think he's a great player. He's got 2 feet. You know, he starts for Brazil. Like, he's actually a genuinely good player. Really good point though about, you know, like players of the moment who, you know, kind of drift off. But the players I would look at, I look at it like the player you bring in has to have some scope, like to go further and like advance their game. So I know he didn't play a lot towards the end of last season, but I would look at Damsgaard again. As a bit player, I think he's great. I kind of think if someone worked with Brian Hill, you could develop Brian Hill into Damsgaard, like, because they have a similar style of play. Damsgaard is very savvy with how he like uses his littleness, his, you know, how he uses his side. That's what Brian Hill. If you're thinking like, Brian, we might change the formation and bring you in as a kind of roaming 10. Like, but you're gonna have to watch someone like Damsgaard and see how they actually play, how they use their body to like turn and like almost like crawl under players' legs. But I think my signing would be Zaniolo. Like, I think that guy. I know he's had the 2 injuries, very dangerous and very harsh injuries, but I would just get that guy. I don't know how, you know, I'm sure Roma would probably, you know, slap a pretty big fee on it because he's quite a key player for them now. Since he came back from injury and since he started to play all the time, it was like, holy shit, you know. And I think we'll see Zaniolo start to get in the Italy team again, and you know, if he gets injured, then it might, you know, derail him. But I think we could be seeing one of the next great players to come out of Italy in Zaniolo. Wow. So I'd go for him. I mean, and obviously if Dybala was there, yeah, sure, take him. But it's just that thing is like, at some point we're gonna have to let that Dybala boat go, you know.
Yeah, I think at some point you're going to have to let that Dybala go. Another player that we've been linked with today, Memphis Depay. Would you like to see him through the door?
I think you know the answer to that. I don't think
people know, Brains. Let the people know.
I don't think he's a bad player. It's just you got to be thinking like, he's like. I thought Richarlison was the one that had a big ego, but I can genuinely see that Richarlison's going to get quite a bit of game time, and I think he'll want to fight, and I think he will become like a really good friend of the forward guys. Just seeing how they've gelled so far, I think that can work. I don't know about Depay. I think Depay will be the same as Bergwijn. I think he'll come, he'll expect to play, and when he doesn't play as much, he'll just, you know, he'll shit the bed, he'll get angry, he'll, you know, and so I can't see him coming to Spurs. Like, I can see him going to maybe even a team lower than us where he can be like the main man, you know. He's a great player though. I mean, has potential, and some of the stuff he does for Holland is outrageous. You know, he's unbelievable free kick taker. You know, he's a great player. And what are they offering? 17 million or something for him?
Yeah, it's cheap, isn't it?
20 million or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, this is the great position we're in. Like, we kind of have this money, and we're still looking at kind of savvy deals. Insanely impressed with the way we've handled our budget this window. Like, incredible. And you know what? As well, all the other fans.
Yeah, go on.
Are like, all the other fans are like, you know, everyone's like, oh, we've had the second best window other than Tottenham, obviously. You know, like, they're all like, no banter anymore. They're all like, okay, Tottenham's won this window, right? They've done the best business. Like, across the board, everyone is going, holy shit, like, Tottenham look dangerous now. You know, a lot of teams, a lot of fans are shook as fuck.
We have handled our budget well. Our net spend right now isn't that high, but considering we did put 150 million that was publicised in the club earlier in the window. To Will Stewart's point, if we don't, if we're not spending that kind of big money, what was the point in doing that? Or is it a case of, does it really matter? What's your take on that?
I just don't think we can really, like, they never said that it was all going to signings. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff that that money's for. Like, there'll be wages that it'll be dealing with, you know, bringing some, you know, Perisic comes in on a free, but he's not cheap. You know, there's like, there's the wages side of things. And who else knows? Like, they're bringing that in, but when's the next time they'll invest like that? We you know what I mean? So it's like that might be it, you know. And so all we've got from now is, you know, for the next 10 years is sell to buy, you know. So I think the winter window is going to be a big one. I think even if we get 2 more in, I don't think Conte's finished. I think the winter window is going to be a big one. Like, that's where we might push the boat out and just get you know, buy 160 million player or something. You know, whatever we need, we'll pick it up in the January window. I'm not stressed out about that though.
Interesting one, that, you know, how Conte and Ventroni liked how hard they like to work their players, and there's been a kind of perception that maybe the players can't handle that kind of intense workout for over 2 years or 3 years. And Conte has a history of leaving clubs early, albeit not because of that situation. Do you think that if Levy does carry on to back Conte could be here for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, that's the kind of thing, like the one area that we still get bantered with opposition fans is the whole, like, yeah, but he's not going to be here. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Relax, mate. He's not going to be here too long. You know, get used to like a one good season and catch you. But like, it's the same. Like, other managers were the same. You know, like Klopp and Pep. It's like, yeah, but give them something. Like, work with them. Say, like, I genuinely don't think a manager wants to go his whole career jumping from team to team. They are looking for that team that can be theirs. It's just that, you know, if you're dealing with a board that won't back you, like the shit at Inter was horrendous. Yeah. He left that. He was in the right to leave. They were just, you know, they were going to sell everyone. Like, you win the league, and then you tell, well, this whole thing you've built, forget that. We're selling everyone because we've, you know, because, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a horrible situation. So if he's backed, and if he's like develops the relationships that you can see he already is, you know, he's a hard ass, but he's a player that loves players, and you can see he's like developing something really strong with Son, with Kane. He's got, you know, you can see he's got that dad vibe about him. So I think if he has a good season, there's no way he's leaving. And then if he keeps getting backed, I think he'll stay. I think he'll like, it's the way he gets treated as well. Like, do you see like how much cheers? Like, he was getting like 60,000 people every time the camera just goes to him, you know? Like, has he got that anywhere else in the world? Like, he must be so blown away. Like, at the Spurs stadium, we always sing the Antonio thing, and he's always just like, you know, like 3 or 4 times in a game, he's like clapping it. Does he get that? Have you seen him get that anywhere else? You know, it's like, it's a different experience. So this might just be his one where he goes, it's too hard to leave something like this. Obviously, we've got to be winning. We've got to be competitive. You know what I mean?
But do you buy into that burnout narrative that the players can burn out after being worked so hard many years? Because that has been, I mean, a few Chelsea players have said it, and a few pundits have been saying it.
I think burnout comes when, you know, the burnout it's obviously it's body, but body repairs, right? So as long as you're doing the recovery in the down season, then you can repair. But I think the heavy thing with burnout is competing for places, and then players losing and getting dropped for extensive amounts of time. But the other heavy thing about burnout is if you really challenge and you come close and you don't. So say you came 5th, or say you're challenging for a title, you came 2nd. The burnout's heavy at that point because it's like, oh, we got so close. And so with Spurs, I've always seen the burnout being like, after the Champions League, that was a huge burnout because it was like we got so close. So it's the emotional burnout rather than the physical. Physical, we know how to maintain the human body, like, and the physios and the staff know how to like keep the bodies right. It's the mental that's always been Spurs' problem. So I think if he gets us winning, the whole thing with Conte coming was always about changing the mentality of the club. bringing in players like this is why bringing in Bentancur, players like that, like Højbjerg having the strong mentality, Basuma now coming in, you know, having winners and people with strong mentality who aren't going to be like, oh, you know, what's the point? We'll try real hard, we'll get real close, and then we'll shit the bed at the end. It's getting that mentality out, you know. And I think now with the players we got, I think we are shoo-in for at least the League Cup. But I would say we could probably walk that FA Cup, you know. Just with the strength now on, you can put two, like we were saying, you could put two really decent teams together, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right. Well, Brains, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for coming on.
Nice one,
and
Brains.
we'll see you soon.
Absolutely, Ben. We need to get you on this as well. We need to get back on the pool hall.
Oh, I'm getting there, mate.
Fluka Modric is coming back, baby.
Modric needs to go down.
Let's do it. I'm down. Let's do it whenever.
Nice one, lads. All right, cool. See you later then.
See you
Nice
later,
one.
Brains, man.
Take care.
All right, really good stream today, guys. I think that is it for today, unless we have any more coming on. No, that is it. So, yeah, really enjoyed that stream
That was
today.
great.
Callers and, yeah, strong numbers as well with the viewers. So thank you, everyone, for joining today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.